Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fist Bumps with Founders, the show where we sit down with Louisville's brightest, boldest, and somewhat slightly sleep-deprived entrepreneurs and dig into the real stories behind their businesses. I'm Dave Atkin. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. You know, we are your go-to crew for helping local entrepreneurs launch, grow, and scale your dreams. You know, we work with small businesses every day on everything from business planning, marketing, and finding the funding to make that big idea possible. So if you got a dream and you're not sure where to start, we're here to help you. And if you have a small business and you need some help growing or scaling, we're here to help with that as well. So the reason for this show is simple. We want you to hear directly from the people who've been in the trenches, who've made the big leap, who figured it out as they went and have the scars and maybe a few wins to prove it. So we're not about the fairy tale startups here at all. We're about the good, the bad, and the stuff that you would never put on Instagram.
So we're like getting into it.
We are.
Okay, good.
So, because today we have a real powerhouse in the studio, Katie Daniel, the owner and driving force behind Ambition Fitness right here in Louisville, Kentucky. You know, Katie built a place that's not just about sweating it out. It's about community, accountability, and pushing past limits you didn't even know you had. She's taken her vision and turned it into a thriving business that's changing lives one workout at a time. So today we're going to dig deep into how she got started, what she's learned along the way, the mistakes she was never repeat, and the moments she'll never forget. So grab your coffee, your notebook, and your protein shake, and let's get into it. So Katie, welcome to Fist Bumps with Founders.
Fist bump. Hi, Dave. We are no strangers.
No. So just to get started, we need to start with how this all came to be because it's such a great story that I need to write it down one day. And, you know, Katie, you are one of those rare individuals that you're not a dreamer, you're a doer. And this is how the story began. I was teaching a class in Bellarmine University on a Saturday morning. It was an all-day class about how to start your business. We went through all this stuff, and Katie was a participant. So we go through the first half of the morning. Katie's in there furiously writing stuff down. It's the lunch break, and Katie comes up to me and she says, "Hey, I'd like to take you to lunch. You have time for that?" And I said, "Sure," because I never turned down free lunch. And we went to lunch and we talked about her business, what her dreams were. And I think within 6-8 weeks, we'd finished your business plan. We had gotten started on your loan. We had a loan approval. And after that, you were off to the races. It was incredible.
It was a fast start.
It was way more than a fast start. It was a rocket launch.
It was. And,
rocket launch.
you know, I feel like you don't have any comprehension of the speed and timeline until it's gone, and then you look back and you know better. So that was a fast start. It was fun though.
It was.
So literally I found the SBA business plan writing workshop. It was like Friday at noon. And like you said, it was on Saturday. And I like feverishly emailed in. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been thinking of this idea for years. Is it too late? Like, can I get in tomorrow?" And I think you had responded. And it was you or someone else. And I remember I came prepared with my notebook. And I remember you looked at some of my spreadsheets and I was like trying to show you stuff. And Dave goes, "Oh, you're ready." And I was like, "I am so ready." So the SBA has been really the launch pad for my business.
Here's the weird thing, you know, as long as we've worked together, and this has been, gosh, that was 7-8 years ago.
7 years
7
ago.
years
No,
ago?
7.5. It will be 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never really asked where the dream came from. What's the origin story?
Okay, so my business is strength training for women, and I found weights in my mid-20s. I never grew up an athlete. I was part of the generation that was told to do a bunch of cardio and not eat anything except salads, and that obviously doesn't work for anyone. So I never had a lot of body confidence. And I didn't know how to exercise. I just wasn't raised with that. Don't get me wrong. We had a very like healthy household, but working out and weights was never in our regimen. And I think that the vast majority of women in American families can say that. So I found weights in my mid-20s, and all of a sudden, I started doing bicep curls, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But weights are so empowering, that they changed my life as a woman. It changed my relationship with food, with my body. It was just overall the most empowering experience I had personally ever had. So, I kept going with it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, women should have this in their life. If it changed my life, I know it will change other women's lives. But, there wasn't really a space that I had seen that I wanted to work out in as a female. The weight section is intimidating, tends to be masculine, sometimes dirty. And I would have my girlfriends who would see what I was doing and they'd be like, "Hey, like, can I come to the weight section with you?" I was like, "Yeah, like, I don't want to work out by myself." And so we would get there though, and they'd be like, "Okay, so what do we do now that we're here?" And I was like, okay, I started realizing multiple obstacles for something that women should be doing, but there wasn't really like a great pathway to get there. So I wanted to create a space that was empowering for women, welcoming for women, kind of like tricked them into working out. Like music is my main motivator when I exercise. So I was like, let's like make it look not like a weight section, like a nightclub, women only, like no gym bros, and we'll teach women how to use weights. So that's how it came to be.
So, was there, I feel like I know the answer to this, but did you have any fear or hesitation beforehand? I mean, because you didn't show me any, but was there any there?
So I laugh. The reason I laugh is because it, in a good way to keep your excitement going earlier in your entrepreneurial path, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know enough to be scared yet. So I think I was a little scared, but I was probably a little like naive and blind to what all can happen. And obviously it's like 7.5 years later. So,
Yeah.
we've survived so far, but you figured out as you go. I was scared, but I didn't know enough yet to actually feel like real fear. And
Well,
obviously, like I had Dave, so what could go wrong?
whatever. Did you, other than me, did you have like other supporters that were pushing you along that were just
No, everybody told me not to. No.
really?
Oh yeah. I remember, so I was in medical
Wow.
sales before this. I've always been very outgoing. I could talk to a brick wall. I'm perfect for a podcast, like Dave was like, who can I have chat with? But yeah, for real. I just found out a week ago. He's like, you want to come talk? And I was like, yeah, just kidding. No, everybody told me don't do it. I had people laugh at my idea. I was in medical sales before, so like I was saying, I'm outgoing, I'm personable, I don't have a lot of that like social fear and social anxiety. And when I quit my job, my boss, I found out later, was like, I don't think she's gonna make it. Then he saw my gym like a year later, and he's like, I didn't think that it was gonna work. And so, no, I did not have a lot of supporters except for the SBA.
Wow. Um, do you think that, your vision and the problem that you were solving seemed like was so ingrained in you? Was that something you held on to on those days that you had the doubt?
I did. I thought about ambition for 2 years before I found the SBA workshop. So, I would like start dreaming about it at night. I just like couldn't kick it. And then one day I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm sick and tired of just thinking about this. And I don't want to look back when I'm 50 and be like, man, like I wish I tried to open that gym. So yeah, it was a long time coming that I wanted to give it a go.
Mhm. Talk a little bit about the process, like when we started getting together, kind of walk everybody through what you experienced to get from lunch with me on day one to, signing on the loan and shopping for places and all that sort of stuff. How was that whole thing?
Uh, there's a lot of unknown. And to start a business, you have to be okay with not knowing everything. I think that one of the best things that you can do is ask questions and reach out to go introduce yourself and be like, hey, I know that you know how to do this. Can I talk to you about this? Like, can you help answer my questions? And, now 7.5 years later, I know so much more than I did in at the beginning. But Yeah, it was just a lot of, I call it like the breadcrumb trail. Like you have an idea and then you're like, well, how do I get to this part? And then how do I get to this? And then it just kind of naturally builds and evolves. Well, I like to think it's step by step, but really it happens all at once.
Yeah.
And it can be baptism by fire. But reaching out to resources and having contacts that can help you when you don't know what the next step is crucial.
So I guess your biggest investment was construction, wasn't it? Other than equipment, what was the?
Yes, so build out and equipment. Boutique fitness is a service-based industry. So, you got to build the space, you have to have the equipment in order to, do the workouts and the services. And we do group fitness and personal training. But as far as the majority of the funding of it, or the cost of to launch the project, that was it for us.
Yeah. Um, the, there's something that's really cool about your gym and what you said earlier about the almost like the DNA, the VAB of it. It's easy to say, well, I need these weights and this equipment and I'm going to train people. But your vision included things like how people felt when they walked in the room and how they would feel when they were working out and stuff like that. How did you put all that together, Aaron? How did you, I don't know, I just, this type of, brand, because basically it's branding and the stuff that really is important to a business that's so hard to quantify. How did you come do all that?
So I think that part of what makes ambition successful is that I am my own client and my own customer. I know what I want to see as a woman. I know the experience that I want to have. And so basically I was just like, hey, like I'm not seeing any businesses or spaces that are meeting my criteria. And exercise is so personal and it's very intimidating. And it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental. There's just all of those components. So, you know, the main thing that weights brought to me wasn't, I mean, like body confidence came with the process and with growing muscles and like seeing results and like your strength growing over time. But what was so empowering for me is how it made me feel. And it just gave me this intrinsic confidence that nothing else had really given me. And so when I tried to, I guess, if I had to paint a picture of what that felt like, that's what my branding evolved into. So,
Mhm. That's really good advice. So if you have your notebook ready, write that down because to build a marketing plan, which you did, you really built it for yourself. How would you attract yourself as the customer? Because you were the first customer, basically.
yeah. And I think like a little sexy, a little provocative, a little big energy. Like who doesn't like that? It's magnetic. It's everybody wants to feel confident. So if we can help women do that, and if it comes within the brand or it comes from the brand, colors, schematics, the studio, how it looks, how it feels, and then you compare an empowering service with it, that's where I think that all of our magic came together.
Yeah. So, honestly, doing all that stuff, building everything, that's sort of the easy part. Like the hard part is getting the first customer. So how'd you get your first customer? What was the plan there?
Didn't have a plan. I think that since I had came from medical sales, I had never stepped foot in boutique fitness, but never taken a group fitness class. Like you think that I would have, but I just had this idea and I was like, let's give it a go. I think that we put up like a Facebook event. And I think that's all of the marketing we did. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about paid advertising. We hadn't, you know, I didn't feel like I had enough confidence as a business owner or brand to be like reaching out to like a bunch of established businesses and owners because I was like, I'm still trying to figure out our identity and who we are. And I didn't really feel like I had much to offer at first. And that, I think that credibility just like builds with time. And you don't have that at first. So, we put it on Facebook and then we had this opening that maybe like 50 to 100 people came to. And I remember it was women and men alike that came, like women bring their husbands or boyfriends. There's like kids running around. And the guys were like, can I work out here? And we were like, no, not for you, sir. So, you know, our initial marketing and advertising was pretty lackluster. And I think it really speaks to the power of word of mouth and your clients and customers being your biggest advocate.
Yeah. How long did it take you to turn a profit, or at least break even?
We broke even the first year, which I'm very proud of. I
Right.
think that we were up like a few thousand by the end of the year. Um, so yeah, thanks, Dave. I needed some help, you know. Dave made sure that we stayed above water.
Well, through that whole process, what was the biggest like, oh crap, I didn't think of that moment that you had as you were launching?
So I hesitate in saying this because, you know, women can do anything, right?
Right.
But when my toilets overflowed and something happened with the AC or the water fountain was broken, I was like, oh, like I don't have anybody to call. Like it's me. Unfortunately for my husband, he was my go-to. So I like to say that my husband is our unofficial studio contractor. But I would say probably a lot of like the being responsible for your physical space. I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah, nothing ever goes wrong. It's fine.
Right. Once we're open, huh?
Yeah.
So how important, you and I worked on a business plan. How important was that?
Very. You know, I didn't have KPIs. I didn't have metrics to go by. Like I had an idea, and then the business plan really helped give that idea a lot of structure. And don't get me wrong, like we didn't have it all figured out by any means. The business evolved and you figure out what works and what doesn't. And the first few years, it's kind of like you're just throwing mud at the wall and like seeing what sticks, what felt good, what didn't work. But the business plan in the beginning, if I didn't have that, like it wouldn't have forced me to flesh out my idea even more. And that would have probably made or break the business.
So as you went along, what systems did you put in place early that you're really glad you did?
That's a good question. I'm very particular about the services and the workouts that we offer. I think that there's two things. I'm very happy with how we've always had the foundation of our business is to take care of women. And that gets instilled from myself to our trainers to our front desk team. And it's like, you know, when someone comes in and tries their first class, of course we want them to stick around and to do a trial or to buy a membership. But at the end of the day, like what matters is that women leave feeling empowered, whether they buy something or not. And that's been a standard of my company and our brand from day one. Uh, Taking care of women, I think, is by far the most important thing.
Is that kind of how you would describe like the whole vibe of the business? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's very much a community feel in boutique fitness. You know, you want it to feel like someone's third home. They've got their house, they've got their job, and then you want that to be their third space that is their community, where they walk in and they just feel like it's literally their third home. And I think that the principle that everybody uplifts each other in a women supporting women business is just it really defines us.
Yeah. So how do you, I mean, I go to a gym, I have a personal trainer too. And I mean, how do you keep workouts like fresh and exciting, because I dread going, but I do it.
But he does it. He's disciplined.
That's why I have a trainer, otherwise I wouldn't do it.
You know why I personally love weights is I think it gives the variety of being able to use different equipment. So I think that keeps it fresh and exciting. You've got benches, kettlebells, plates, resistance bands, barbells, squat racks, medicine balls. So there's a lot of variation in the equipment. There's also a lot of variation inherently of how you use that equipment. You can go for power, you can go for endurance, you can go for traditional strength training sets and reps. So I think that there is a lot of variation in all of that, but I think what balances that variation is that I am a creature of habit, And to an extent, I like to do the same thing over and over again. If I find that I'm doing something new every day, then I don't really get a chance to really like settle into like programming and feel good and confident in it. So I like the fact that strength and the way that we do our workouts is monthly programming. So we have 4 weeks to keep it exciting, but also gain confidence in those movements and in those workouts. And then the next month, we rip the rug out from all of our feet and we all start fresh. So I think it's a combination of switching up programming, variation, and really whether it's weights or whether it's another exercise modality, it's important to enjoy the movement and the modality that you're doing, and that's different for everybody.
Right. Well, how much of the business is like about fitness and how much is about community? Because it sounds like you've got both hitting it on.
I mean, solid 50-50.
Yeah.
You have to offer services that and workouts, services workouts for us. So we have to offer workouts that women want to come back to and continue doing. But if there's no community there, then it's 100%, it goes hand in hand.
Right. Have you ever had to fire a client before
Client.
on your training?
I have not had to fire a client, but there have been difficult clients that when they choose to move on to another exercise studio, it's okay. I think that don't get me wrong, 99% of clients are wonderful. And I think that if you instill your standards of your business, that we are women supporting women, it's very personal, it's very one-on-one, it's very uplifting, that tends to permeate through your community, which is a good thing. But every now and then we get somebody who is demanding or doesn't want to, they think they're an exception to some of our policies. It does make it's difficult. And it's hard to hold an entire customer base and community to policies that one person gets exceptions to. And I know that as a business owner, a membership and a customer is obviously the life support of your business. But one of the best pieces of advice I had gotten is it's okay when a client walks. You'll find more clients, and yeah.
What do you wish people knew about trainers? What do we need to know?
About fitness trainers.
Yeah.
Fitness trainers love what they do.
Mhm.
We love it. Like, it's exciting for us. It's community based for us. It's friendship based for us. And we, usually it takes a big personality to be a fitness trainer. You got to run a room. You got to be authoritative. You have to be a good public speaker, and people that are good at those things enjoy them. So I think that when you're able to combine skills that you're good at with also something that makes you feel good and it makes you feel fulfilled, it's very exciting, and that's why we do what we do. I think that what people don't realize about trainers is that most people are teaching group fitness on top of their 8 to 5, on top of their family life, on top of appointments and travel, and we're always
Right.
pouring into everybody else's cup. That, like, there are some weeks to where we're like, oh my gosh, like I don't have it in me this week to keep pouring into that. So I think being maybe like aware of someone that does it for both passion and a living, just they need their breathers too. So
Yeah. So how do you, just, we're talking about fitness now and not business, which we should be talking about business, but I'm curious here. So how do you handle a client that has unrealistic goals? So with my trainer, he asked what my goals were, and I said I want to look like Ryan Reynolds, and he didn't say anything after that.
he's like, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that.
Right.
I think that for women, fitness goals are tricky because we've always been told to have unrealistic expectations for what our bodies should look like and how we should work out and what we should do.
Yeah, so insightful.
Yeah. So I think one of my favorite things of ambition is that it pushes back on all of that. We really, embrace and encourage inclusivity and different body shapes, body types, different abilities. You know, I tell everybody that comes in for their first class, I'm like, hey, the music is loud and the lights are down low. No one's looking at you. Don't worry. We're all kind of like dying in our own little pods. So, you know, to answer your question, like when they come in with unrealistic expectations, I do think that we try to just redirect women to being like, how do we feel right now? How do we get to feeling good if we're not there already? And just always just constant encouragement. And the beauty of weights is that someone could come in who has been an avid athlete their entire life, or you know, with the modality itself of strength training, we can drop it down just to body weight and still have it be very challenging, but also adaptable for someone who's a beginner. So we encourage people to feel good during their workouts, feel that fine line of challenging, but also something that they can sustain. And usually, when we focus on that, women start seeing and feeling results that they came in for. So we try to focus on where we're at in the moment, and then just kind of build from there.
Mhm. So how's your business evolved from like the day you opened, you know, you're always trying new things to today? How's that evolution gone?
Uh, well, what I said earlier about throwing stuff at the wall and
Yeah.
seeing what sticks,
Yeah,
we
that's
finally figure out, take the years, we finally figure out what sticks. Um, you know, and with ambition, we're a well-oiled machine now, and that takes years to get to. You know, it did not happen overnight for us. Um, our services are very established. We know the timing of our classes, we know the format of the classes, we know the flow of the classes. You know, we used to have, especially as we were growing, people find it, you know, very exciting to be a part of it, especially from a client perspective, and client feedback and ideas are everything. And you know, we would be like, there are women who would start to find weights through us through group fitness, and they'd be like, well, you know, like I would love if you guys had an open gym. Like I would love to come in and like be able to just like lift some weights. We tried that, and then no one came. We were like, oh, so you guys do want group fitness, okay? And then someone was like, hey, like on Sundays it would be great to do yoga, and so we tried to have some yoga people come in, and it was exciting at first for clients, but then it kind of fell off. And so we just found that if we can focus on what we're good at, there's always going to be other modalities of fitness and offerings that other businesses can specialize, and that they can specialize in, and that our clients can also incorporate in addition to us. So yeah, I think that we have just found it's just taken time to figure out what works for us.
Okay. Well, through all the mudslinging, what's the biggest and best growth move you've tried so far?
I would say the biggest and best growth move.
Yeah, it's really moved the needle for the business.
So I went to China and I stomped around some manufacturers. With my husband. I was 20 weeks pregnant, and had the assistance of my spouse being like, "Hey, you want to fly across the world and look at equipment with me?" You know, with us being very specialized in female strength training, I found that so many of the equipment suppliers here, one, had gone up in cost so much since after COVID. And then also two, the equipment that had since become so expensive, it wasn't equipment that I didn't want to buy it, and it didn't fit our business. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing, it wasn't functional. So I was like, okay, how do we build our own equipment? Like where do we source this? How do we customize it? And I found that almost all of the you know, equipment manufacturers, well, equipment suppliers here, they outsource their equipment. So I realized that when they were offering me like, hey, like here's the equipment I have, I was looking at a portfolio that basically they had sourced from manufacturers and suppliers. So
Right.
um, I had reached out to suppliers for about a year, and finally got over to the other side of the world and was able to. What's really cool is that our equipment is beautiful and it's so branded. I'm so pleased with how that step turned out. But what's great is that we also work with a female-owned equipment company as well. So
Nice.
it's really cool to see how like the foundation of what matters to us has also been able to ripple into that side of our business and also like the other side of the world. So that's great.
So you have been on a growth journey. talk a little bit about some of the, you started with one gym, made it through COVID and all that, and then now you've really expanded. So talk a little bit about that with the second location, all this other stuff.
You know, growth is exciting and it's addicting. And you see your idea and your concept come to life and you're like, oh my gosh, it's working. And then you're like, we should do more of it. We should do more of it. And I think one of the best things that ever happened is that I was going to switch locations, or I wanted to open a second location earlier, and we were not ready. And you think that you're ready, but you're not yet. And so, I'd had a few mentors and also our accountant. He was like, hey, look, like just simmer for a second, like just stay right there, let your business continue to grow. And I think that waiting to expand, and we really didn't start to expand until 5, 6 years in, was one of the, I wouldn't have changed a thing of how that turned out. And I think that as a business owner, you look at the behemoths and you look at the Goliaths of your industry.
Right.
And those are outliers. Those are maybe the 1%. And your business can get there. And I think that's obviously everybody's dream to, build something that could turn into that. But I think that setting your expectations of your one footprint, your one location, your solo KPIs, and making sure that you are hitting every metric and waiting for growth was the best advice that someone had ever given me.
Do you have a process for setting goals, as
I like to think 6 to 12 months in advance, up to 18 months. If I'm not thinking forward, I'm behind. Uh, I don't like to get caught with my pants down. Who likes that? So I think that one of my favorite things that I'd ever heard about an entrepreneur is that everyone thinks that entrepreneurs are huge risk takers, but the good ones are very risk aversive. So I like to be thinking well in advance. And also as I'm looking at my roadmap of, hey, what does the next 6 to 12 months look like? I also like to balance, hey, it could go really well, or you have to be looking at what if nothing goes to plan? And what if it all fails? And if it does, are you prepared for it? And what's your plan? Like what's your exit? What's your support? What's your help? So thinking forward for me and looking at business as a game of chess. So looking at every move that you could make and all the possible outcomes is probably the way that I feel the most prepared in making business decisions.
yeah, that's all about leadership. So let's talk about that for a second. So you have get into the leadership mindset. I mean, do you have like a personal daily routine that you do just as a business owner?
I don't. I think that sometimes I wish I did, but like that doesn't work for me. You see that people are like, I wake up early, I start my day this way, I always make sure I'm reading so many pages per week. I don't have a routine. I guess in that aspect,
That's refreshing, actually.
Yeah, like,
I read all these books and I'm like, well, why am I not doing that?
maybe if I had more time to incorporate a routine, that'd be nice, but
Yeah.
Nothing in particular.
Well, do you have anything like something like one thing you do every day, no matter what?
Oh, I wish I had better answers for this, but
Oh, great. Okay. Here's the other part of like owning a business that's tough is like, how do you handle like negative reviews or tough client feedbacks or angry customers stuff?
I have two perspectives here. I think that when someone is upset, it's whether it's correct or not, people want to be heard. And so if someone's really upset, one, I want to be able to address it from a business perspective to make sure that my business and my team and other clients are being taken care of. But even just from like a human to human perspective, like at the end of the day, like if our team gets stressed out or if our clients get stressed out, I'm like, it is group fitness. Like it is not that serious. And so when someone is upset, it's my goal is to de-escalate, to be like, hey, like you are obviously something happened. Tell me about it. Like I want to be able to hear it and give perspective and hopefully help solve whatever went wrong. I have found that when in my personal experience, when I've addressed it that way, usually everyone kind of gets a little bit disarmed and de-escalates. Um, what I will say is that I love that we have like Chick-fil-A customer service of like, hey, how can we help? Like it's all about the client. But one of the things that I do push back on as a business owner is that the client is always right. And they're not. Just like we're not always right. But if you bend to everybody's opinion and cave into things that make you compromise either your business standards and policies and compromise your team, that I do push back on. And I think it's okay, and this rarely happens, but on the rare occasion it does, it's okay to disagree. And at the end of the day, no matter if it's personal or professional, you're not always going to make everybody happy, and that's out of your control. So I think you just do the best you can, put on the best customer service you can, have the best problem resolution you can. And if you've checked those boxes at the end of the day, then that's all you can do.
All right. As you've gone through growing ambition, what what did you develop partnerships or collaborations that were really helpful as you went, as you grew?
Yeah, I think that, going to what I said earlier of when I was first starting out, I didn't know anybody. No one knows who you are as a new business. They're kind of like, oh, who's this? Like who's this new chick on the block? Um, once you get a little bit more like stability under your feet, going out and approaching other business owners and networking is obviously huge. One, you can co-promote each other's businesses together, so it's a win-win for both groups. But also too, it's really nice to be able to find like friends and colleagues that are also running businesses and teams that I don't know, just like sharing common practices. What are they seeing? What are you seeing? And then you also find friendship within that too.
But on that note, I mean, what's your approach to like social media and community building?
Can you
Like,
elaborate on this question?
in addition to, what you mentioned about reaching out, other, other business owners and stuff, I mean, because you've built sort of a community around your vision. I mean, how do you instill all that in everything you do?
So social media for us, social media is the most powerful tool. Every business owner knows this. If you were not posting content, then no one's going to see you. I mean, like everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever their preferred platform is. So whether you like to post or not, that's your main marketing. Depending on the business and industry that you're in. For us, social media is everything. Um, it also provides a daily way, not only for our brand to be in front of clients and customers. It allows us to, be discovered by new women, by new clients. As ambition grows and we're opening a Lexington location, our corporate page in Louisville that has like thousands of followers and is very established as a brand and has a brand voice and engagement, we get to support that for our new locations as well. So I think social media is your entire marketing infrastructure and also the way that you speak and how you're perceived to clients as well.
What what's been your biggest fail so far?
I think that what a lot of small businesses struggle with is you're working so hard and you have a great customer base, and then you still have people that are like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of you guys. How have I not heard of this? And it's just like, just like guts you. You're like, how have I not heard of this? So I think that like 7.5 years in, I wish that more people knew about ambition. And I think it just continues to take time. And then you have to kind of keep your expectations grounded to be like, again, the targets of the world, the 1% of the world, everybody knows who they are, but that didn't happen. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And it just takes time and growth. So I think that I would love to improve our our brand awareness and figure out how to do that a little better. So I would say that.
So along the same lines, I mean, what's the weirdest challenge that you've had to solve so far along this journey?
I don't know if it would be considered weird, but like a weird challenge, but maybe uncomfortable. I don't like to know what I don't know. And so much of entrepreneurship is stepping into the unknown, and you're expected to have all of the answers and to know exactly what to do. But the reality of it is that we're all just figuring it out as we go and relying on each other and resources to be like to learn from and to be advocates for each other. So I think my biggest challenge, like I said, I like to be risk adverse. I like to be prepared, is getting comfortable with not knowing everything.
Yeah. I know there's days, you know, as you think back, there's times when money was tight and stuff like that. What's the dumbest thing you ever spend money on?
The sauna. I know that without a doubt. So again, you know, you're figuring out what your business, what does well, what doesn't. Recovery, wellness and recovery is a big aspect of fitness and wellness lifestyle. So we're like, maybe if we put a sauna in this back room we have, it would be enjoyable for clients and team. And it was, but it didn't make us any money. So it was just ended up being a cost. And then, you know, we don't have a towel service on hand. So we're like, what are we gonna do with these towels? So the sauna was probably a cost and a spend that, again, if I could simmer for a second, in hindsight, I would not have gotten the sauna.
Everybody has one, you know.
I know, right? I'm like,
Everybody
what a sauna, it's tempting. Like,
Oh man, so what's like a brutal truth that no one tells new business owners that you would share?
I mean, you want me to be brutally honest?
That's the word I use.
Are
Is
we
brutal.
gonna scare people off here?
We could.
Entrepreneurship and business ownership will take you to your knees. And it is a very exciting ride and it can be extremely fulfilling. I think it would break the vast majority of people that would try it. And I don't mean that as a badge of honor. It is exceptionally difficult when things go wrong. There is no one to help you. There is no cavalry. It is on you. It is very high pressure, and you have great days. And there's a lot of things that business ownership offers you. Like when it goes well, you have flexibility, you have income, you have cash flow, you have a great team, and you have a great community. When it on the bad days, it's very isolating. And it's, you know, the stakes are high and it gets hot in the kitchen. You know, it's financial stress, it is isolation stress, it can be public stress. You know, a lot of times when you mess up, it's not a secret, you
Yeah.
know, like it's you gotta. So I think that the brutal truth of it is that it can be extremely challenging. And that's why having a support system of people in your business community, a good relationship with your customers and clients, and your relationship with your spouse and your family is everything.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic. That's well said.
thank you.
I appreciate that.
It's humbling. That's the truth.
All right, as we kind of wind things down here a little bit, 5 quick questions.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Okay.
Early bird or night owl?
Oh, night owl, all the way.
Oh, dang. How late?
I mean, here's the thing. I'd like to be in bed asleep by 9:30, which doesn't sound much of a night owl, but I would rather work late than get up early. That's my algorithm.
Okay. What's your favorite local spot for a post-workout snack?
I love Drake's. People that know me know that Drake is our spot. Myself, family, we bring our kid. We frequent Drake's like once to twice a week.
Okay, good tip. Coffee, smoothie, or energy drink?
Coffee all day. Starbucks.
Yes, see you there.
Starbucks.
See you there, babe. First business you started?
Ambition.
There you go. If Ambition Fitness had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, Great question. Damn it, Dave, you got me. The first thing that came was like Eye of the Tiger, and I was like, that's not even by a woman. Like it has to be
No.
like a female song. I don't know, something just like Beyonce,
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj, something that I'm gonna cuss, something that makes you feel like a bad bitch.
What about that
That's
song
what our
about,
anthem is.
yeah, that song, I'm so excited. Yeah, that's what it makes me feel like I'm going to write.
That's the PG version.
Whatever. All right, well, that's kind of a wrap of our episode of Fist Bumps with Founders. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
You know, you've really shared a lot, and if you're an entrepreneur thinking about becoming one, hang out with us at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. We'll help you turn your ideas into real businesses and maybe save you a few headaches too along the way. I don't know. So
Good chance you can find either of us at Starbucks.
that's
so.
right. Frankfurt Avenue. Check it out. So until next time, keep hustling, keep learning, and of course, keep those fist bumps coming.